Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be back. And today we have anticipated 2025 new releases. So, if you're new to this channel, this is the What to Next podcast or blog or YouTube channel. We have it all. We're doing some video content that's also going to be available on audio the next day. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to share in your comments and let us know your thoughts about these books and what books you would recommend and review moving forward. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about anticipated 2025 releases that I actually have read. There's 12 books that I'm going to talk about. There's a mix of rom-coms, romance, spicy rom-coms, and then we have some mysteries to talk about. So let's get started. So let's go with like the really sweet, like basically romantic reads to steal your heart. So we're going to start with First Time Caller by B.K. Morrison. This comes out in February. This comes out in February. So First in Color is by Victor Morrison. It's a mix of um, Sleepless in Seattle. It's a retell of Sleepless in Seattle where her single mom, her daughter calls into a radio station looking for love for her mom, and the radio station host is basically just a cynic of love. He doesn't want to fall in love. And she actually picks up the phone and says, like, hey, this is what I'm going on. This is being vulnerable. And they decide to bring her into the radio to talk to help her find her love of her life. And as one does, she falls in love with the host, and it's just really sweet. It's really good. This has the Sleepless in Seattle vibes. It's set in Baltimore, a single mom. It's just like fun radio station, kind of like old school Delilah show. So I love this. This is just delightful. The call goes viral. This one passed in 2025, and it's just like fun. I really love this book. I actually listened to it. The audiobook narration is excellent. So it's a really fun modern love take on Sleepless in Seattle. So that's the First Time Caller by B.K. Borenson. The next book I want to talk about, it comes out in August, and that is Anywhere with You by Ellie Palmer. So this is a road trip romance where a divorcee, she just recently got divorced, decided to reconnect with her best friend, her former best friend, who stopped talking to her after her wedding. And so she decided, you know what, I hate my job, but I'm trying to figure out. And her sister calls her out of nowhere and says, hey, I'm gonna go elope in this like remote island in Minnesota. And she's like, what do you mean you're gonna go elope? So she convinces her former best friend who appears out of nowhere to come with her to go and break the wedding. And it's a road trip in Minnesota. It's basically he lives in a RV camper. He's been singing songs in like college um, college concerts and stuff like that. And so he's been on the road for most of his life. And so she's like basically like, let's just get together and do this road trip. And there's romance. It's sweet. It's really fun. It's actually set in a place where it's a perfect summer romance. So I think you can wait for this for the summer. Well, it comes out in August, so this is a perfect summer romance. I think I really love the take on of the past timeline because they were best friends from college, where they got to know each other when they were like teenagers, and then they were pen pals because she ended up moving away, and then went to college together. And they have this like small group between her sister, his best friend, him, and her, and it's just like a fun. It's also a take on like the idea of getting divorced and finding starting over from the beginning, and then realizing like what you build your life on for security, in your 20s, it no longer matters in your 30s, and like things shifted. And so this was like a fun take on that idea of like how your life can change and how your priorities change and your values change. And so she does like a big transformation, big character arc. But this was a fun one. Anywhere with You by Ellie Palmer. You should add this to pre-order if you have not done this before. If you have not done this. And so the next one is a popular book. It's the end of a four-book series, which is Wild and Wrangle by Lila Sage. The first book in the series is Done and Dusted, and it's a cowboy set in Wyoming, big, rancher, big, like, Western romance. And it's small town romance. It's really good. So the first book is Done and Dusted. I think it's brother's best friend. She comes back from town. She's a horse girl. She's trying to get connected, and she falls in love with the bad boy that she always wanted to. Second book and third book in the series are like one of them is an interior designer coming back to town, And then the other one is enemies to lovers, brother's best friend again, sister's best friend in this case. And so it's the different brothers and people. So the third book in the series, he is a single dad, and in this book, she's the mom of the kid. That this the third book, single dad romance. And so we start off a wedding day for her, the heroine's wedding day, and she stood up in the altar, and she's like, "What am I gonna do?" And she's rescued by the guy, the one that got away, and it's dusty. So she ended up in a bar in her wedding dress, and she's like crying. And he comes, pick her up, takes her out of the bar, takes her out of the place, takes her to Chili's for food, gets her like some outfits from the gas station, and they start a romance. And so they reconnect. It's second chance romance. They reconnected after 10 years of being apart. And he's always been pining for her. She just feels like she's not worthy. She has a lot of baggage of coming to terms with her family. Her family has money, and she feels like and they have a lot of control and expectations for her, and she doesn't want to have that. She's a lawyer. She's not happy where she's at in her life, but she loves her daughter. She has like a second family with her, her that's her daughter's dad, his family and everyone. And so they're all connected. They all work in this ranch, and I think it's the Rebel Blue Ranch, and it's just like a fun place to be. If you like horses, if you like small town, if you like found family, and just like a big family saga, this book is for you. So this is Wild Wrangle. I really enjoyed this one. There's a really great second chance moments, and I understood why they broke up because they were too young. They were just not ready to be together. And so it makes sense for them to come back together when they're established, when they have lived their life fully, and they're willing to stick around. And the best part, he respects her choices over children. And I think that's like a really beautiful thing to see because it's not everyone is meant to be a parent, not everyone is meant to have a big family. And sometimes you just want to have respect for that. And so he totally respects her for that. And I think this is a beautiful, beautiful conclusion. So I really enjoyed this one. It's Wild Wrangle by Lila Sage. All right, so we're going to move to some rom-coms, some witty and whimsical rom-coms, and some of them are coming up this summer, and some of them are coming up a little bit later. So the first one is Summer in the City. I think this comes out in March. I think it comes out, but it's a summer romance. And Summer in the City is a screenwriter who is tasked to come to New York and write a script for a big movie that said they gave her a list of locations and they're like, make a rom-com out of this. She doesn't believe in love, and she's like, whatever. So she has this chance encounter before she left New York with this rich guy. And he was always paying attention to her. He was like, oh my gosh, I want her. And she just told him, like, no, she doesn't want him. She's like, I'm moving to LA. I'm getting out of New York as much as possible. She hates New York. And then comes back and stays in this beautiful apartment and stays like, and he is her neighbor. And they reconnect, and she still doesn't want him because he's a billionaire and she knows his story. He doesn't know her story. She has a pseudonym as her screenwriting, and somehow they connect with each other. They have like this bickering, and she sort of like doesn't like him relationship. And he finally was like, I'm just in between jobs. I actually have to have a keep a positive image, and so will you be interested in being my fake girlfriend? And she agrees to do that because he also offered to take her to different locations for her to write the script. And so it's like summer romance where I really enjoyed this part. Look, it has all my favorite elements about living in New York City. It has one area which I've done it in parts, but it's one of those things that I wish I can just go back to do it, which is walking the whole island in one day. You start from the top part of town, from the 100 something street, and you walk all the way to Battery Park. So it's like kind of like fun. You're right. You walk the Broadway, essentially, it walks the whole island. And so you get to see the different neighborhoods, the different places. So if you've never been to New York, this is a great New York local book to get the New York vibe. So Summer in the City, it comes out. It's a perfect summer romance. So just put them in the pre-order for summer romances. This book comes out in February, which is Green Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey. Tessa Bailey is a hit or miss for me. Some books work for me, some books don't work for me. This one worked for me, and that's why I'm sharing it. So Dream Girl Drama, it's a forbidden romance, but it's not really forbidden. So they had a chance encounter. They meet at a country club. She's a ballerina, and he's a hockey player, but he's not earning a lot of hockey player money. He's just like kind of like in the middle ground thing. And so they meet because their parents are actually meeting, and they meet a chance encounter. He helps rescue her after a country club. Then after that, they meet at a family dinner where it turns out their parents, his dad and her mom, are getting married or planning to get married. And so they're told you're not supposed to be together. It's not good for image. It's like not really helpful. So it's sort of forbidden. And she's been sheltered. And so she wanted to go to Boston, and he actually helps her. He pays for her apartment, takes care of her, and he doesn't have a lot of money, but he like takes care of her. And she doesn't know. She's so sheltered. She doesn't know like the money situation, how to access everything. And so it's just interesting, like the dynamics of it. She's a little bit more younger in that maturity level. This is her first time living with herself and like managing her stuff. And so it's interesting to see, but things happen. It works out, and it's not as forbidden as it seems to be. It's not step brother romance. They end up being together, and it's just delightful. So I did read this in one sitting. I sat down and I was like, I don't know what to read, and I just like I it was a fast read. It was a good read. So Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey worked with me. All right, the next one already is out and is Black Flower and Steel by Sarah Adams. This is an open door romance. There's actually some spicy scenes, not a lot of spice. It's just like medium spice. But I know Sarah Adams is well known for closer romance. Has started writing some explicit scenes and really good books. This is the third book from Kentucky. This is I think it's a sister or from the hero from the first book. So in the second book, I think it's the second book. So those first and second book, the characters come in, but you can read this as standalone. In this case, they both are teachers. He also has money, but we don't know why. They both are writers. She's secretly writing. He's a secret author. He's a son of a famous author, and they both are actually neighbors. He actually left town. They were enemies before they left. He's basically pining for her. She doesn't want him, and he left town so he can actually was going to get married to somebody else, and then returns to town, returns to his job, and they both are teachers in the same school, and they both have to work together and be neighbors. And it's just sexual tension arises. It's good. It's a good book for writers. If you're a writer, if you're looking for inspiration, it's a really good book to read. So this was Back Flowers Steel by Sarah Adams. It's a pretty good book. I would say listen to the audiobook. It's delightful. And you can borrow it from the library or you can just request it. So now we're going to move to my new area of expertise, which is mystery thrillers. And the first book is No One Was Supposed to Die at This Wedding by Catherine Mack. So No One's Supposed to Die at This Wedding by Catherine Mack is the second book in the everyone I know dies in whenever I go to vacation, everyone dies or someone dies or something like that. This is the second book in the series. Essentially, it's a mystery. It's kind of like a really wacky, cozy mystery. It's not fully cozy, but it's full of mystery. There's romance in the place. So in this book is an author who writes a cozy mystery series. The first book of the series, she ended up trying to kill her partner because she was smoothly fictionalized her version of her story when she was young, and she was almost scammed for money. And so she wrote a series. The series became really popular. In the first book, she ended up going on vacation, on a book tour in Italy, and people died. In this book, the events from the first book actually make it to a movie. And so after the movie, one of the two stars in the movie are going to get married in Catalina Island. And so one of the stars is her best friend. So they get to know that someone's going to die at the wedding in Catalina Island. Mind you, there's a hurricane about to happen, so everyone has to evacuate the island, but they don't want to evacuate because the wedding's happening. And it's a secret wedding because it's a celebrity wedding, and people start dying. And people start trying to figure out who's doing what and who's the murderer and what is going on. It is wacky, it's fun. There's a lot of footnotes. That's how she communicates. The heroine communicates with us. And so My suggestion is if you can wait for the audio because it's much more easier to manage. But if you're just reading it and you don't mind the footnotes are important. They help you kind of like understand the story and the background and the specific things. So that's no one was supposed to die at this wedding. And it is fun, it is wacky, there's a mystery, and there's people who are dying in the wedding, but it's not gory. So the next one is already just came out this week, and it's She Doesn't Have a Clue by Jenny Elder Molk. And this is another mystery where the hero and the heroine are attending a wedding. It's her ex-fiance's wedding. She's an author too, and so and he's also an author, and he's been they've been working together, but they stopped working together, and something happened to that relationship that they're just like trying to figure out. And it's a mystery. It's a kind of like a locked dorm room mystery because they're all stranded in a PNW island, Pacific Northwest Island. And there's a cheetah, I think it's a cheetah or leopard running around. So you're not supposed to. There's people murdered. There's people like mystery about like sellers and like who's killing who and all the drama. It is fun. It is campy. It is joyful. And I did not guess who was the murderer until the very end, which was fun. Sometimes I guess, sometimes I'm just surprised. And this one I did, I was pleasantly surprised. And the ending was just like fun. It's just campy, it's just fun, it's a fun mystery. So these are mystery rom-coms, I would say. There's a little bit of romance, not too much, but they're still there. So they're a little bit stuff. The next one is already out too, and is Murder in the Dressing Room by Holly Stars. This is a drag queen murder mystery. So this one is set in Britain. The drag queen is doing performance, and there's one performance who's doing some beauty garlands, shoes, and stuff like that. And someone dies at that performance, and they're trying to investigate who killed who. And there's like a whole robbery mystery, and it's set in England. It's just like campy, fun. It's just delightful. The audiobook is narrated by Holly Stars, and it's just so much fun. I would suggest listening to this audiobook because it's just like a fun romp to do. And you just transport to, fun theater, drag queens, drag shows in London. So, and you get to go to different neighborhoods and get to understand different things. And it's just fun. There's a romance there. The drag queen is in a relationship, and it's just fun. And the relationship was like great because he's like the word of wisdom was like, "Are you really gonna do this?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna try it." So they're gonna try to experiment and try to solve the murder. And yes, they get accused of the murder, but who knows? Maybe they they get away with murder. So all right, so we got some quirky, captivating standouts, and these are still murder mysteries. We got Vera Wong is coming back. She's snooping a dead man. So Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man is the second book in the Vera Wong series. You can read this standalone. I have not read the first book, but this one you could actually understand the story. You understand the previous of the story of Vera Wong. The story is that she was really lonely. She has a tea shop, and she's very meddling. Like she's a meddling auntie. And so she actually basically solves a murder for her tea shop. And then she feels like she's an expert. She's an expert investigator. And so somebody comes with a murder. Someone tries to defraud her. And then she connects with someone who is like coming up with a murder, like someone disappear. And so she's trying to figure out. And this person's an influencer. So she becomes an influencer. So there's a lot of it, like how she goes viral on TikTok, how she connects with the different people, how she actually gets them to fall in love with her, and how her own family, she adopts every quirky character, she adopts him. And she's just like a fun character to enjoy. Like her take on the way of the world is like, I want to be Vera Wong when I grow up. Like not the lonely part, but I really want to be her, like to have this like found family, to have this sense of like, investigator skills, the snooping skill, and like, the confidence of like, I'm just gonna do this and I'm gonna go viral and it's just gonna be great. And I have like the confidence of like accepting the things and like people telling her like you can't do this. She's like, no, I'm gonna do this. So Vera Wong is like such a fun character to like. So that's Vera Wong's Guide to the Dead Man. Then the next one is Pamela Acton Can Still Solve a Murder. This comes out in March. This is think about it if Paris Hilton's grandma dies and she becomes destitute and she has to solve her grandma's murder. This is the book for you. It's an heiress who basically her grandmother passes away, and then the stipulation, unless they figure out who killed her, they all lose money, and she loses her money, she loses her place to live, she loses everything, and she has to be scrappy and try to figure out how to get solve the murder, but at the same time actually figure out who she is in her life and what kind of things. And so she actually realized that she couldn't be an influencer because people were like it's a public murder and they're like talking about her. So she had to figure out like her expertise, her skills, and try to be scrappy and make money. So she ended up working at a cafe. She ended up moving with her nanny's son, who is also the love interest, who is also helping her solve the murder. And she then develops her baking skills, and she becomes so good that she actually opens a bakery. So I'm hoping to see more books in the series because it's actually pretty a lot of fun. I really love this take on. It's set in New York City, so it's a mystery set in the Upper East Side. It's just like fun murder mystery. I really love this character. Melanie Rose is also writes as Amanda Elliott, so they have books like Lucky Latte, Best Served Hot, and other books are more foodie romance. So I love this. It's just take on just a lot of foodie references, but at the same time, it's still like a murder mystery, and it has her take on things. So that's Pamela Acton Can Still Solve a Murder. All right. The next one is actually for one night only. That is by Jessica James. This book came out this month, and it's actually pretty like it's if you like band reunions, a little bit of Juicy Jones and like why Cupid broke up. This book is for you. I listened to this. It's a pop punk band that needs to reunite, and there's a relationship that happened that broke up, and so it's all the drama around the reunion tour. They're trying to do for one night only. It's a one night only concert, and they're just trying to figure out if they can actually come back together. It is interesting. It's a little bit incy, and there's a little bit of spice, but not too much. It's actually like more like an interesting take, like a rom-com take on Daisy Jones and the Six. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like trying to figure out why you broke up, and then understanding like how they can come back together. In this one night only concert, and if they can actually move beyond the one night only concert, they can move beyond the romance. So those are the books that I share in this recommendation. So there's about 12 books that I share. 2025 promises to be a good year of rom-coms and mysteries. I'll be coming back with some mysteries, action thrillers for you to take on because I actually have quite a few to look for and review. But if you enjoyed this show, feel free to, if you're watching the replay, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know if you read any of these books and what are your thoughts. If you're listening to this podcast, feel free to like send me an email at laura@whatfreenextblog.com and let me know your thoughts and like what you're wanting to see more. So thank you so much for listening and have a great day.